All right, so uh, have you seen some of the pro golfers lately trying out this arm lock putting?
Yeah, definitely seeing it more and more,
Pretty wild looking, right?
for sure.
Almost looks illegal, but don't worry, it is.
It's definitely unique.
Yeah. So we are going to unpack why today we're doing a deep dive into some research by Henrik Jensch.
Okay.
He's a PGA pro and also a certified putter fitter.
Oh, wow.
So he knows what he's talking about. And the cool part is he used himself as like a guinea pig
Oh, cool.
to study how this whole arm walk thing actually works.
Interesting.
Yeah. And he compared years of his own conventional putting data with hours and hours of practice in arm lock.
Wow, talk about dedication.
Yeah. So I'm curious though, how did he measure that progress? Did he just rely on feel or was it like a more scientific approach?
Oh, this was serious science. He used high-speed cameras to analyze every tiny detail of his putting stroke,
Oh, wow.
capturing 100 frames every second to really scrutinize each movement.
That's some serious tech.
Hmm.
Okay, so for those of us who might be new to this whole arm lock putting thing,
Hmm.
can you paint a picture of what it actually looks like out on the green?
So imagine the putter shaft pressed right up against your forearm, almost like it's an extension of your arm.
Okay.
And the grip is different too. The whole setup is totally different from traditional putting.
I've tried to picture it, and honestly, it just looks so awkward.
It's a change.
Why change something that's already working? Unless it's not working.
Exactly. There are golfers out there, maybe even you, who are constantly battling inconsistency or maybe fighting the dreaded yips, those little twitches that can throw your entire putt off.
Oh, tell me about it. I've had more three putts than I can count because of those yips. It's incredibly frustrating.
Well, for golfers, like that arm lock putting could be a game changer. It's all about more control and consistency, especially on those pressure-packed short putts, and that's where Henrik's research really shines.
Okay, let's get to the good stuff. What did Henrik actually find?
One of his biggest discoveries was that arm lock putting drastically reduces how much the putter face rotates during the
Oh,
stroke.
wait, seriously, how much are we talking here?
Almost 50%.
50%.
Uh,
So you're telling me with arm lock putting, I could potentially cut my missed putts in half.
you got it. That's a huge difference, especially when you think about those must-make putts.
Okay, you've sold me. I'm intrigued. But how does it actually work? What's the secret sauce behind this, like, magical stability?
It all comes down to the setup by anchoring the putter against your forearm. You're basically taking your wrists out of the equation.
Oh, so it's like you're forcing yourself to use your bigger muscles instead of relying on those, like, finicky little wrist movements.
Exactly. You're engaging your shoulders and torso, which creates a much smoother pendulum-like motion.
Like a grandfather clock just swinging back and forth.
Precisely. And not only does that boost your accuracy, but it also makes the stroke feel almost effortless.
Effortless putting. Sign me up. That sounds amazing. You mentioned earlier that Henrik used high-speed cameras to capture every little detail of his putting stroke.
Yeah.
What exactly did he see?
Well, he was tracking over 100 different parameters of the putting stroke.
100.
Yeah, which is mind-boggling. But for one, he confirmed that the putter stayed locked to his forearm throughout the entire stroke.
Okay, so it does exactly what it's supposed to do. It stays put. What else did he discover?
He also found a significant reduction in head movement.
Makes sense, right? If you're not busy trying to control the putter face with your hands, you're more likely to keep your head still.
Right.
And we all know how crucial a still head is in putting.
Absolutely.
But what about loft and roll? I mean, that's got to be important for getting the ball to start on the right line and roll smoothly. Did Henrik look into that at all?
Absolutely. He used some sophisticated software and more high-speed cameras to analyze how the ball launches off the putter face, and the results were really interesting.
Okay, I'm on the edge of my seat here. What did he find?
The analysis showed that arm lock putting naturally encourages a good launch angle, and here's the best part, less skidding.
Less skin, so the ball just starts rolling smoothly right away.
You got it. This leads to a truer, more predictable roll.
So we've got the science,
Hmm.
we've got Henrik's personal success, and you're telling me it practically guarantees a perfect roll.
Mm.
This is starting to sound a little too good to be true. Are there any downsides? What's the catch?
Well, it's not a magic wand. Unfortunately, there's a definite learning curve.
Okay.
It takes time to get comfortable with that different grip and the overall setup. You
Right.
can't just grab any putter off the rack and expect it to work. Finding the right putter length and loft for arm lock putting is crucial.
I hear you, but I'm pretty set in my ways.
Mm-hmm.
I've been putting the same way for years. How hard is it to really make this switch?
Oh, it's a change for sure. But
Yeah.
think of it kind of like learning a new swing technique or trying out a different type of club.
Yeah.
It's about, expanding your options and finding what truly unlocks your potential.
Okay, that's a good point. But for someone who's been struggling with their putting maybe even for years, this could be the key to finally finding some consistency.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Imagine stepping up to a putt, feeling confident and in control, knowing you've got the tools and the technique to sink it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the power of arm lock putting.
Okay. I'm starting to see the light here.
hmm
So Henrik saw some pretty amazing results with his own putting after switching to arm lock. What were those results specifically?
His one putt percentage shot up, his three putts practically vanished, and he started consistently holing more putts, especially those tricky short ones.
That's impressive. But let's be real. Not everyone is Henrik Jensch, right? It worked for him, but will it work for like the average golfer?
That's the beauty of it. Arm lock putting isn't about copying someone else's style.
Okay.
It's about tapping into those core principles of stability and control,
Okay.
which are beneficial for any golfer.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all solution, but it's more about taking those principles and applying them to improve your own game.
Exactly. It's like you wouldn't expect to wear the same shoes as another golfer and magically improve your swing.
Right.
It's about finding what fits you best.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
Okay, so for those golfers out there who are intrigued by arm lock putting, what's the first step they should take?
First, do your research. Watch videos of pros using arm lock putting, read articles, and really try to understand how the technique works.
Yeah.
Then, if you're still interested, the most important step is to connect with a qualified golf instructor who's familiar with the technique.
I was just going to say having an expert eye watching your stroke and giving you feedback would be invaluable.
Absolutely. They can help you identify any little quirks in your swing, make sure you've got the right putter length and loft, and guide you on the path to becoming a more consistent putter.
For a lot of golfers, the mental game can be just as challenging as the physical one, especially when it comes to putting.
I couldn't agree more. Putting can be a real confidence killer, especially when those short putts just aren't dropping.
I've always struggled with the yips, especially on those pressure putts. It's like my hands have a mind of their own.
I hear you. The yips are a real struggle for many golfers, but with arm lock putting, you're taking the risks out of the equation entirely, which can have a huge impact on your mental game.
So it's not just about physical stability, but also about mental stability.
Precisely when you have more control over your stroke and eliminate those tiny wrist movements, you naturally feel more confident and less anxious on the greens.
So it's like simplifying the putting stroke both physically and mentally. Less to think about, less to worry about.
Exactly. And when you're less focused on mechanics and more focused on making a smooth, controlled stroke, you're more likely to sink those putts.
This whole conversation has really opened my eyes to a new way of thinking about putting. I'm definitely going to give arm lock putting a try.
I encourage you to, it might just be the key to unlocking your putting potential and experiencing a whole new level of confidence on the green.
I've got a feeling a lot of our listeners are feeling the same way right now.
I hope so.
So for those who are ready to take the plunge, what's like that one piece of advice you would give them?
Be patient. Mastering any new skill takes time and dedication.
It's a journey, not a destination.
Exactly. Embrace the process, enjoy the journey, and remember it's all about finding what works best for you.
Love that. And hey, if you do try arm lock putting, let us know how it goes. We always love hearing about your golfing adventures now before we wrap up our deep dive into arm lock, putting any final words of wisdom for our listeners.
I think the best way to understand something is to really just experience it firsthand.
Yeah.
So, if you're curious about arm lock putting, just get out there and give it a try.
Mm-hmm.
You might be surprised at how it transforms your game.
Yeah, don't just take our word for it. Experiment, explore. You never know. Arm lock putting could be that secret weapon you've been searching for.
It just might be.
Well, folks, that wraps up our deep dive into the fascinating world of arm lock putting. We covered the science, the technique, the mental game, and hopefully we've inspired you to think differently about how you approach putting.
It's been a really interesting conversation.
It really has. And remember, whether you decide to try arm lock putting or stick with your current style, the most important thing is to just have fun out there on the course
Exactly. Enjoy the game.
and keep those putts rolling.